The forest was not silent that morning. It breathed. A soft hush lingered over the moss and mist as if the world itself held its breath. Red walked the narrow trail, clutching a wicker basket, her crimson hood gleaming like a drop of living fire against the silver dawn. The trees leaned closer, their roots whispering stories of travelers who never returned. Something unseen moved with her, matching each of her steps with quiet precision. The path forked where no path should be. Red hesitated, feeling the weight of unseen eyes. A low hum trembled through the fog, and the wind murmured her name as though it remembered something she had long forgotten. Her heart raced. Somewhere between one heartbeat and the next, she thought she heard a voice, deep, broken, and near enough to taste her fear. Would you still follow if the stars whispered your name? Red walks deeper into the forest, where the light turns dim and green as if she's underwater. The air feels thick, humming with an old vibration. She senses the presence again, closer this time, almost within reach. She calls out, her voice trembling, but the forest answers with her own echo. The path beneath her feet shifts subtly, roots moving like snakes beneath the soil. A song hums through the trees, an ancient lullaby she doesn't remember learning. It draws her toward a grove where the air glows faintly. She steps closer, each note pulling her further from safety. At the grove's edge, she finds strange marks carved into stones. Symbols she cannot read but feels inside her bones. The sound of the forest quiets, as though even the wind is listening. A sudden growl ripples through the air. Her heart leaps. From the shadows, eyes gleam. Not animal, not human. She backs away slowly, clutching her basket. But before she can run, the forest itself seems to shift, trees bending as if to block her escape. And then, the whisper comes again. Closer now, almost gentle. You shouldn't have come alone. The air turns heavier, pressing against her lungs as if the forest itself resists her presence. Red moves slowly, her cloak catching on brambles that seem to reach for her. Then, a voice, calm, almost kind, drifts from behind the trees. You shouldn't wander where the path forgets its name. She spins, startled, and sees a young man emerging from the shadows. His clothes are tattered, his smile strange, and his eyes amber. He bows slightly, the gesture old-fashioned, almost rehearsed. The woods are no place for kindness, he says. She steps back, clutching her basket, unsure if she's met a savior or a storm in disguise. He gestures toward the deeper woods, claiming he knows a safer path. His tone is gentle, but his smile never reaches his eyes. Red hesitates, weighing instinct against trust. Something about his presence feels both familiar and ancient. The forest hums again, that same low rhythm, as if acknowledging him. As they walk together, his words twist like vines. He speaks of hunger, of forgotten promises, of hearts stolen and returned as curses. Red listens, her steps careful, mind racing. She realizes he never says his name. And somehow that frightens her more than his eyes. They pause near a river where the water runs black as ink. He kneels, dipping his fingers into the current, and murmurs something in a language older than the woods. The river seems to shiver under his touch. Red watches, feeling the hair rise on her arms. He looks up at her, eyes glowing faintly. This place remembers, he whispers. Even when we try to forget. When the wind rises again, carrying the sound of howls in the distance, Red flinches. The wolf straightens, his face unreadable, and says softly, "They're calling?" She asks, "Who are they?" But he only turns away, whispering, "The ones who remember what was taken." And for the first time, she notices that his shadow on the ground doesn't move the same way as his body. Maruhi Nimur. By dusk, Red finally sees smoke curling above the trees, her grandmother's cottage. Relief softens her shoulders. though the forest feels heavier now, as if every tree leans closer to watch her cross the final stretch. The wolf lingers behind, his silence sharp as a blade. The closer she gets, the colder the air becomes. The door of the cottage stands slightly ajar, creaking gently as the wind sighs through. She hesitates, something inside warning her not to enter, but the smell of herbs and ash pulls her forward. The threshold feels like crossing into another world. Inside, the air smells of dust and dried lavender. Red steps carefully, her boots sinking into worn rugs. The house feels both familiar and wrong. Her grandmother's things are all in place, yet everything hums faintly, as if alive. She calls out, her voice trembling. No answer. The fireplace crackles on its own, though no one tends it. A teacup rattles on the table by itself, and she freezes. Then she sees the mirror, cracked, old, and fogged. Shapes move within it, shifting like memories trying to surface. For a moment, she sees her grandmother's reflection, then her own, then someone else entirely. Someone who looks like the wolf. A low creak echoes from the upper floor. Red turns, pulse quickening. Slowly, she ascends the staircase, each step groaning beneath her. The air grows colder, and she smells something metallic. Old blood, perhaps. At the top, she finds a door carved with strange symbols that seem to pulse faintly in the dark. She pushes the door open and stops breathing. The room beyond is filled with dozens of cloaks, each crimson and identical to hers, hanging like still bodies. In the center lies a single chair, carved from bone, and a silver locket resting on its seat. When she steps closer, she sees a reflection in the locket's surface. Not her face, but the wolf's eyes staring back at her. And then a whisper slithers through the room. "Welcome home, little one." Red stumbles back from the hanging cloaks, her breath coming in sharp bursts. The air around her seems alive, whispering, remembering. Then, behind her, a voice cuts through the stillness. "You found it." She turns to see him. The wolf, standing in the doorway, his eyes no longer human. His voice trembles with something close to grief. "You were never meant to wear it." She looks down at her own crimson cloak, suddenly aware of its weight. "What do you mean?" she whispers. He steps closer, every word cracking like thunder. "It wasn't a gift. It was a seal, made from my heart. Nort my stror, was it not strong in me to seal?" She shakes her head, refusing to believe him. "You're lying," she says. But the wolf steps closer, unbuttoning his torn shirt to reveal a scar glowing faintly over his chest. The shape of a missing heart. "Do you think curses are born from teeth and hunger?" he says softly. "They're born from love twisted too long in the dark." His words hit her like a storm. She feels the cloak tighten around her shoulders, as if it too remembers. The wolf tells her of a time long before, when the forest was a kingdom ruled by her grandmother, a witch queen who bound him to guard her realm. But he broke her trust, fell in love with a mortal girl who wore red ribbons in her hair. To punish him, the witch tore out his heart and wove it into a hood to protect her bloodline. Red's bloodline. Red's throat tightens as memories not her own flood in. A boy with golden eyes, a woman's scream, a burning forest. The truth spreads through her like wildfire. Tears blur Red's vision as she stumbles toward him. "So you're saying I've been wearing your curse?" she cries. The wolf nods, pain carved deep into his face. "And now," he says quietly, "it's waking." The walls tremble. The cloaks hanging around them begin to move, whispering names, their fabric rippling like restless souls. Red clutches her head, hearing voices. All the women who came before her, all the hearts that bore the same red burden. As the room stills, Red looks up at him, her voice trembling. "Can the curse be broken?" The wolf hesitates, his expression full of sorrow. "Only if the one who wears the heart gives it back willingly," he says. She touches the crimson fabric. It burns her skin, yet she does not pull away. Outside, thunder rolls, and the forest seems to lean closer, waiting. She closes her eyes, her voice barely a whisper. "Then tell me how." The storm outside swells until it shakes the walls. The wolf backs away, his form flickering between man and beast. Red feels the pull in her chest, the cloak's pulse growing faster than her own. Then a voice cuts through the thunder, old and familiar. "You brought him home." Red turns toward the stairs. Her grandmother stands there, candle in hand, her eyes glowing the same gold as the wolf's. "You should have never found this place," she says softly. The heart remembers what the mind tries to forget. Grandmother steps down slowly, her presence commanding. "Do you know what that cloak truly is?" she asks. "A promise, made so the forest would never take what's mine again." Red trembles, confused. "You took his heart," she whispers. "You bound him." The old woman nods, "And in doing so I saved us all." The wolf growls low, the sound more sorrowful than angry. "You saved yourself," he murmurs. "You doomed me." The wind burst through the cottage, extinguishing the flame. Only moonlight remains. The grandmother raises her hand, and the air hums with magic, runes glowing along her skin. "He was never meant to be free," she hisses. "Without his curse, the forest falls." Red steps forward, defiant. "Then let it fall." Her voice echoes through the house, shaking dust from the rafters. For a heartbeat, the wolf looks at her with something like hope and fear. Grandmother's power surges. Her eyes blaze. "If the heart leaves you, child, so will your life," she warns. Red clenches her fists, tears streaking her face. "Then it was never mine to keep." The wolf steps forward, his voice soft but desperate. "Don't," he pleads. "You don't know what you're giving away." She meets his gaze and whispers, "Maybe I do." The storm outside breaks into sudden stillness, as if even the world holds its breath. Red removes the hood slowly, her fingers trembling. The air vibrates as if the forest itself cries out. The wolf staggers forward, clutching his chest, light spilling from the hollow scar. The grandmother screams, not from anger, but loss. The cloak collapses in Red's hands, still glowing faintly. She looks at it one last time before pressing it against the wolf's chest. "Then take it back," she says. A burst of crimson light fills the room, swallowing sound, time, and breath. When it fades, Red falls to her knees, her heart quiet. Silence. For a long moment there is only the sound of rain dripping through the ruined roof. Red lies motionless, her cloak gone, her breath faint. The wolf kneels beside her, light still glowing faintly from his chest, where the cloak dissolved. Outside, thunder fades into a deep, rhythmic heartbeat, not of the sky, but the earth itself. The trees begin to sway without wind. The forest remembers her gift. As the wolf lifts Red in his arms, the moon above bleeds red across the clouds. Every shadow turns toward the house, as though the forest itself is watching what comes next. He carries her outside, stepping into the storm-soaked clearing. The forest trembles as if awakening from centuries of sleep. Roots twist, flowers bloom and die in seconds. The wolf's footsteps leave trails of light where they touch the earth. The red moon reflects in his eyes, no longer beast, not quite man. He whispers her name, but she doesn't stir. The forest answers for her, its voice deep and mournful, echoing from every leaf. At the heart of the woods, an ancient tree splits open, revealing a hollow filled with light. The wolf steps closer, drawn to it. He realizes this is where his heart once slept, buried by the witch, guarded by her curse. The light within pulses in rhythm with his chest. He lays Red down gently, brushing her hair from her face. "You gave it back," he whispers. "Now I must choose what to do with it." His voice breaks. "Without it, I was lost. With it, I may lose you." He presses his palm to the tree's glowing heart. The forest erupts in motion. Wind howls. Branches bend. The moon flares brighter. The wolf's body trembles as light pours from his chest into the roots below. The curse begins to unravel. Shadows melt, and the red cloaks hanging in the cottage dissolve into dust carried by the storm. Red gasps softly, her eyes fluttering open as the glow from the tree begins to dim. "What did you do?" she whispers. "I gave it back," he says, his voice fading like rain. Light fades slowly. The forest stills. When Red rises, the wolf is gone. No trace, only the faint shimmer of red mist where he stood. The air smells of rain and wildflowers. The great tree's hollow now beats with a slow, steady rhythm. His heart, restored, but part of the earth now. She touches its surface, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. The forest hums softly, almost comforting, and somewhere in the distance, a lone howl rises, not of hunger, but of peace. Morning light filters through the shattered forest canopy. The storm has passed, leaving the woods drenched in gold. Red wakes beside the heart tree, her cloak gone, her pulse faint but steady. Everything feels new. The air, the soil, even the silence. She calls softly for the wolf, but only birds answer. As she stands, she notices faint markings glowing beneath her skin. Threads of crimson light that pulse in rhythm with the forest. She realizes the curse has not vanished, it has changed hands. The forest has chosen its new guardian. She walks through the woods, following trails now bright with moss and light. Everywhere she steps, life blooms, flowers unfurling, birds returning, but each step feels heavier. The forest tugging gently at her, asking her to stay. The wind carries whispers, not threatening anymore, but pleading. "Don't go," it seems to say. "We remember you now." As she nears the edge of the forest, Red finds her grandmother's staff, lying broken among the roots. The air ripples faintly, and then for a moment, the old woman's voice reaches her, faint and tired. "It was always meant to be you," it says. Red kneels, touching the staff. It glows once more before fading into dust. The wind sighs through the trees like a farewell. At the forest's edge, the path splits, one leading toward the village she left behind, the other back into the trees, now alive with red gold light. Sheila looks between them, heart aching. Behind her, the forest hums softly, almost alive with her breath. Ahead lies the world she once knew. Smaller somehow. She closes her eyes, feeling the weight of her choice settle like dawn on her shoulders. She turns, not toward the village, but the forest. Her lips curve into the faintest smile. The woods part as she walks in, the light following her until she disappears beneath the canopy. The wind carries her name like a blessing, not a warning. Somewhere deeper within, the heart tree beats once more, slow and steady. A red feather drifts through the air and lands where she stood. The final whisper of what was and what will be. If fear could speak, whose voice would it borrow now?